Welcome back to the Loveland Report Lone Ranger Show. I am Cleve Loveland, Central Florida's best real estate planner, alongside the Lone Ranger, talking real estate, talking mortgage rates, talking what's going on since hopefully the bombs have paused for a bit. Markets have eased. Rates are coming down. Our spring market is upon us, and we're going to dive into some listings real quick here. I've got 50 acres, Bruce. Great for a park, or if you want to just like a motocross park, or just maybe do some storage or a solar farm. Now, this is a landfill of construction debris, so it's like a big mountain right off of Popka by the radio control airfield.
I know exactly where it is.
And then like across the street,
it's 50 acres.
50 acres for $500,000. And then I've got in Metro West, the best price home per square foot, 3-car garage. That's rare. No pool, even rarer. 3,000 square feet, 4 bedrooms, 3.5 baths, single story ranch, except for the bonus room. There's just one room upstairs. You got a 3-way split plan with a den, high ceilings, custom built fireplace in the family room, remote family room, big screen porch, nice fenced yard for the kids or the dogs. $628,000 for that one. I've got 14 acres for $650,000 in Mount Dora, and this is all high and dry. Build your compound on it. One of these days, eventually this will be, I think 5 years from now, this land will be in high demand for subdivisions as Apopka and Mount Dora are growing together. Yes, when you go down 441, you see all those subdivisions. And then I've got, that'll do it for now. You need to call me on one of those. Call me 407-352-8118. And Bruce, you wanted to talk about days on the market.
I want to talk about why buyers need to get into the game now, because what happens is buyers become reluctant when rates go up, right? It's a natural occurrence. They go, rates go up, I'm going to hold off because my payments are a little bit higher. But what they're missing out on is the bigger picture. So the bigger picture is I can refinance later to get a lower rate if rates come down. And they may or may not come down. What are you going to do? Not buy if they don't come down? And what are they going to come down? 1/4 of a point? They're not going down to the 3s again, folks. They're not even going to go down to the 4s again. If we hit 5 3/4, I think we're lucky. We are lucky. And I don't think it's going to get that way. I've argued the only way that we're going to get into the 5s if the government starts buying mortgage-backed securities again. Because as it sits right now, I don't see the Fed lowering the Fed rate anytime soon. They're getting pressure to raise it, let alone lower it. So I don't think that's happening. We now look at the market, and it's different in other markets. We're talking about Orlando, we're talking about Tampa, we're talking about Florida. There is a fair amount of inventory where some places don't have that kind of inventory. Yeah. They got inventory shortage. You're going to be an offer of 3 other people on the same house when you go to buy a house in some of these other places across the country. But here we have inventory. How many days are the houses on the market right now?
Floating in the 80 to 90 range.
80. So average, we're talking almost 3 months on the market. Now, when do sellers start getting a little nervous that they haven't had a lot of activity after 30 days?
Depends on the seller. Could be 5 days. Could be, I have some,
could be the next day.
I have some call me 3 days later. I'm like, give it a second. Watch the pot doesn't boil, that kind of thing. But I think the important part, Bruce, is the agents out there. If you got a buyer, let's say you got a buyer, Bruce, and you got their pre-approval done, and they have to have 4 or 5 or 6% of cost.
Yeah.
But they're
toward closing
costs.
Yeah.
They're approved to 450. They're approved to 475. And what needs to happen though on an offer, if that house has been sitting at the same price for 90 days, something's wrong. I just got one, same price for 3 weeks. We got 8% off. That's big. That's kind of a big
price off.
It is. Now we were cash, close in 2 weeks. That's a little different. So you got to know all these things. Like when a house just adjusted the price and it's the only one the husband and wife liked, you might need to go in a little stronger. And if they need a bunch of cost, you might end up above list price.
Above or at least at list price. Yeah. If the house just dropped from 420 to 400 and you're coming in at 380 and asking for $20,000 in closing costs, the net to the seller's 340, they're not going to bite on that.
Yeah. And I think when I look at houses, if it's been sitting at the same price for a while, that means it's not sold. I mean, it's the price unless there's something condition wise, but most time it's price point. And sometimes just moving that. I've taken listings, Bruce, that other agents had for 6 months. They call me, they like what I do, and we've adjusted a couple things, fixed the yard up, adjust the price 2% from where it was, and boom, sold in 2 weeks. So it's about reacting to the market. Because I talk to a lot of the biggest complaint I still get about realtors since the first day I started in this job 33 years ago.
They don't know what they're doing.
Is they don't talk to them enough. And I just
They
helped
don't talk to their client.
they don't talk to their client. The house gets listed and they call them going, hey, what's happening? They're like, oh, let me do an open house. Let me hang some balloons on your, but they should be going over, okay, you didn't sell, but this market is moving, Bruce. And I'm sure somebody within a mile of you or in your subdivision, if you're at 500, there's somebody between 475 and 525.
I agree.
That sold. There's still market absorption going on. This is not 2010 when the number of sales you could almost count on one hand, and when it was really bad. So we're going to dive into bubbles next, but you got to watch those things, and every listing is different, and the ones you look at are different.
What I'm looking at when I see 90 days on the market, I see opportunities for buyers, because I can guarantee you sellers are going to be a little bit more willing to negotiate after 30 days. Before 30 days, less negotiation, and they don't need to, because if they got a lot of buyers within 30 days, the sellers are in more control. But now 60 days comes along, then 90 days comes along. You got a seller that goes, dude, I got a job. I got to be in Washington for my new job. I need to get this thing moving. I'm willing to take a cut because I got to move into my new house, and I can't get my new house and get my family in school till I get this one sold.
The next most important is, how much do you cut? If you do cut, if you adjust the market position.
Here's the thing. I don't think you need to cut price. I think you need to be more generous on closing costs.
Not if you haven't had any offers. If you haven't got anybody to give closing costs, it's your price.
It could be you didn't get the attention.
You didn't get any offers.
You're 100% right about that. But in negotiation, when it comes to negotiating that transaction, most buyers' issues are cash out of pocket. It's not always the payment. Some people think it's the payment, it's the cash. They struggle with money today. So why do you think builders are giving away so much money?
Because they know what moves it.
To attract the people into it. And you say this all the time. Position your home so it looks like a builder model, and you'll get more money for your house. Reduce the stuff that's in it. It's the same with the marketing. Builders are experts at marketing. They pay your closing costs. They'll pay rate buy downs. They do it all to attract people. If you want to compete, then you have to do the same thing. And that's what it's all. But they don't lower their prices. Not very often. What's your phone number, brother?
All right. 407-352-8118 or cleveloveland.com.
Yeah. Or call Bruce Woodburn, the Loan Arranger, Cross Country Mortgage, here in your backyard, servicing all 50 states. 407-250-9144. That's 407-250-9144. Or go to webringyouhome.com. Get your application started. Every client gets personal consultation with me. Every client, every loan that goes through my branch, I'm looking at it. I'm structuring it. I'm dealing with the client. I'm helping my team structure it. You don't have somebody that's on the air that is unfamiliar with the transactions. Now, that's common in my industry. A lot of people that do what I do and maybe on the air in other states and other markets, they don't even know how to do a mortgage anymore. I am an expert at structuring mortgages. I had a client call me, my wife was shopping insurance for our building. And the guy goes, is your husband Bruce Woodburn? She goes, yes. He goes, he did my dad's mortgage for me. And he said, you know what? We went to Bruce. He told us how to put it together. We thought there might be a better way. So we went in a different direction. Didn't work. We came back. Bruce was the only one that could close the deal. And she went, that's my husband. That's what I do. And I'm not saying I can fix everybody, but by God, I don't think that the loan officers out there know how to put a deal together the right way. So you call the Loan Arranger, webringyouhome.com or 407-250-9144.
I want to dive into, I'm seeing some articles, and this is funny. This is how you can tell it's a slow news day. When you see something about bubbles. All right. This is not bubbles in the bathtub. This is people talking about real estate bubbles. And what's amazing to me is like these writers. Here's one from Fox News. Who wrote this? Kristen Altus. She probably wasn't around during the real bubble we had in 2008. And what caused that? Banking crisis. We had 60, 70, 80% of the market was foreclosures. How many distressed sales do you see?
What got us into that were bad mortgages.
Yes. But they were foreclosures. That was the bad market. Nobody could buy. Economy crashed. It literally crashed the whole world economy. But we don't have any we don't have any. I have people call me, I want a foreclosure. I'm like, there's 3 in Central Florida. So good luck with that.
Yep.
And you never get an answer from the bank. You don't know how many offers are in. It's just not the way to go. So what you guys hold your own notes. How many distressed properties do you have?
I don't have any
delinquent
that are in my portfolio.
Yep.
I have 0.
Yep.
0 of my clients aren't making their payments.
Yep.
And I close thousands of loans.
Yep.
I don't have them. Now, that doesn't mean it couldn't happen because of death in the family, a job loss. I did have a good client that lost his job. It was paying him $250 a year, and he struggled, but he kept it, and he's fine now. He's got another job. But that market doesn't exist. And here's what I'm seeing. I am seeing a few short sales here and there, but when you go for a short sale, this is a real deal. Just happened last week. I had a client. They went into a short sale offer. They dealt with this with the real estate agent, came up to a price. It took 3.5 months for that short sale bank to come back. And at the very end, they came back and said, oh, by the way, we won't pay any of your closing costs. She needed $10,000 in closing costs. She waited 3.5 months for
they're
them.
not worth it.
And at the very end, they cut her legs off.
And this is the thing, but this bubble talk is by people that don't really know what a bubble is. And there's also, it's just talking about how Miami
pop. That's what the
Miami, Miami is overtaken Los Angeles and New York as being at risk for a bubble. Now their prices go way up because, okay, we're going to sell our $5 million condo for 5.5. And so they call it a bubble when that house sells for 4.7, where it should have, because that's where the market's at. And so
the house didn't drop in value. It wasn't worth that much to begin with.
And I don't think there's anything like what's happening in Miami with all these people migrating there and bringing in mega $1 million companies, the Sunny Isles, where all the billionaire bunker where people are just knocking stuff down for 50 million and building $100 million house, stuff like that. So don't worry about a bubble out there. The housing market is strong. It is recovering. We're ahead of 24. We're ahead of 25 so far.
The luxury market's kicking butt right now.
In the luxury market, those people aren't disturbed by what's going on out there. No. They were cautious during Sleepy Joe, but I think that's come back. So
you look at that, the luxury market, these are educated people that are buying high-end properties. Why are they buying it right now? Because they're getting a deal on their properties. They know that there's the market for it. So why are more people buying $1 million homes, but less people buying $450,000 homes? Because they're more informed and they're not afraid. They also know that fear is generally the opportunity, and the average person, they fear, they cower, because it's a natural instinct to cower when you see things aren't going your way. But you have to look at the other side of it. There's opportunities for that. Every time there's fear, it means there's an opportunity. So if there's fear in the market, for all of you right now listening to this show right now, if there is fear that you think because interest rates are a little bit higher, then you should go, where is the opportunity? And I see the opportunity is buying right now. I think buyers have a huge advantage, but I don't think they're taking advantage of the advantage the way they should. That's my message. 407-250-9144, or go to webringyouhome.com and get your application started. Doing tons of bank statements for self-employed people, loans, bank statements, don't need your tax returns, DSCRs for investors. I'm going to do segments on my YouTube page on each one of those, so you can drive yourself to my YouTube page and have a clear understanding of the pros and cons of every type of loan that's out there. I'm putting together a library for you. What's your number, brother?
407-352-8118. When we come back, we're going to talk about the spring market and how it's booming.
Spring market, you can reach Cleve Loveland at cleveloveland.com or 407-352-8118. He's an expert at helping you stage your home. He's an expert at getting the best price for your home. And he's got a team of buyer's agents that will absolutely knock your socks off. I've really enjoyed working with them. You've got a good team, Cleve. I am always looking for talent on my team. I'm looking for talented loan officers right now. Call me if you have an interest at 407-250-9144. Minimum 3 years experience in the business, or don't call me. I can't do it. I can't train you from scratch. WeBringYouHome.com. Veterans, you're getting taken advantage of again. I'm watching it happen every day. Do not answer calls to mortgage companies that are soliciting you. I'll be right back.